it's like, okay, well, where can you start for your goal to become, to have a guiding service for hiking? Oh, I guess I need an online presence. And then I mentioned, oh, that's funny because Alanah and I, we want to start a podcast. And she says, you are perfect for podcasts. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Thank you. Oh. And then our call shifted to, okay, how are you going to get this podcast up and going? What is it about? What do you want people to hear? And I just want people to hear our conversations because they're great and inspiring. And I think that we're meant to be heard. So
to be heard.
And that maybe, I think during that call, I texted you and said, we're starting the podcast. Get ready.
Yeah, because the night before or that morning or something, I can't remember when it was, we were talking and I said, this would be a great time to start our podcast. And you're like, yeah, like I agree. Be kind of hard though with me going to Kenora because you're kind of in denial. I think that that your job is going to end up not being.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm still leaving. Still leaving on the 30th.
So I was like, okay. And then within a few hours, you messaged me. You said, let's go. Let's finally start it. We've only been talking about it for a year and a half. Let's finally start this.
And I said, because I said to my cousin, oh, we just can't order microphones to start our podcast. And because of everything, and it won't get here in time. And she looked at me and was like, what is that?
Excuse?
Like, yeah. That's an excuse, Morgan. I know people. She said that she knew people who have podcasts. They still don't have mics. Like, we're just using our generic headphones right now. Mics are coming though. Don't worry. But she's like, that's a fucking excuse. And she called me on my bullshit. And that's where it all started. So you're welcome, people, that I was working on my mindset, because now you're blessed with our voices.
Hopefully, or you hate it. But you made it this far, so
yeah.
Obviously, you love us and hate us at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
I just wanted to say that I believe that there's one type of failure that actually does exist, and it's the failure to not try, to not start, the failure to just not do something, right? Because you're scared of failing. I think that is the only failure that really does exist. Because when you think you failed at something, what you've done is you've made a mistake it's a gift, being like, here's what went wrong, try something different. And then if you decide to just stop there, then you've given up the ability to make something great.
Exactly.
We've made mistakes on our first few podcasts, and I've been super cringed out at myself, and I've been thinking, why did I say that? Why did I talk like that? I hate my voice, different things like that. But I've decided to just forget it and post it and just let it be. And we're just going to work on every podcast and just make them better and better and better.
Exactly. And another thing with fear that I skipped over. Oh, fear. We're talking about failure, but okay, fuck it. Just scratch all of that. Scratch it.
Oh. Just cut it. So I kind of want to talk quickly about the thing that I found was destroying all my productiveness and just making my life super difficult in like the past. It's always been a thing. I found I've gone to bed a little too late, or I just kind of would sleep in a little longer than I wanted to, and then it would create me to not get as much done during the day as I wanted. And it's just like a thing I just could never get fixed. And it was kind of something I always just was like, oh, it's a personality thing. I like to sleep in a little bit. It's just, I don't know. I just always kind of just never dealt with it until the past about 6 months or so. I was like, hey, you're 24. You need to be up by like 7:30, 8 a.m. There's so much to do. There's so much to get done. You need to get up earlier, especially because I work at 8:30 in the morning now. So I decided that I wanted to be up at 6 a.m. so I could go to the gym in the morning, because anytime I tried to go to the gym after work, I'd always be too tired or be over it by the time it's 4:30. I'm like, oh, I'm too tired. I have too much stuff to do. I have to go home and cook dinner and do laundry and this and that. So I'll just go tomorrow. I needed to fix that before I could fix any other issue, because I couldn't fix any of my other little things I wanted to work on before I changed my sleeping pattern. So I figured this out on the plane to England. It took me 8 hours of figuring out my few little things I wanted to work on for my New Year's resolution, because it was actually, on my way back that I decided this, because I flew back on New Year's Day. So why were you in England? I was visiting Neil, my fiance, so everyone should, I guess, know that. I kind of waited to talk about it a little bit because it makes me a little sad to talk about it.
Oh,
So, Neil and I have been together for about 3 years, but in February of last year, he had to leave because his work and holiday visa expired. So he left, and we've been making long distance work, which is just a whole other episode, which like I'm not, it's difficult to make long distance work from that far. So I was there for Christmas. So on my way back was when I decided, okay, so I want to work on this stuff. This is the good year for me to work on stuff because it's going to take about another 12 months for him to get permanent residency, because that's what we're applying for. So I was like, what can I do for the next 12 months to make myself a better person? Because we both decided we wanted to work on our own individual things while we had this time. I was like, hey, what is the root of my recent problems? Even if it's a basic thing. And I was like, it's not waking up early enough and going to bed too late. So it took me about 4 days to finally figure out how to get to bed for around 10. I kept having to kind of slowly push myself to go to bed a little earlier. So finally I got to bed at 10, woke up at 6, and I was like, oh, wide awake, went to the gym, loved it. I always loved the gym, but it was just nice to go in the morning, because I used to go in the morning all the time, but it was just harder now because I worked at 8:30, so I had to like wake up even earlier. I just kept doing it and kept going to bed a little earlier, to the point where I was waking up at 5 a.m., which was the most ideal time for me to wake up. So if I wake up at 5, I could be at the gym for 5:30, be home for 6:45, shower, get ready, have breakfast, feed the cats, do all the little things I do, and then be at work for 8:15, 8:10, which is even 15, 20 minutes earlier than I'm supposed to be there, so I can get organized and start my day. And then when I leave at 4:30, I can go home, cook dinner, and not have to worry about any of the other stuff. I can just do my normal stuff and not feel bad. Also, the gym wakes me up in the morning, makes me feel more energized, makes me feel like I've accomplished a million things. It makes you feel like you haven't even gone. By the time you get home, you forgot you even went in the morning. It feels like it was like 90 years ago at that point, which is the good, because then you just feel like you've gotten so much more done in your day, and you've been so much more productive. So I definitely realized that was the root to all my other problems, because the reason why I wasn't getting my laundry done, or the reason why I wasn't hanging out with my friend that I wanted to hang out with, or getting this project done, was because I didn't have enough time, because I wasn't giving myself enough time, because I was sleeping in, or I was pushing it off because I was going to start it too late. And so that was definitely my biggest thing, which then this year has helped change the root of how this year's going. It doesn't help now that the quarantine has messed up my sleeping schedule a bit, because I can't go to the gym in the morning. So now I'm back at waking up at like 8 and then working from home. And then usually on my lunch, I'll do like some crunches and stuff, or at 4:30, I'll then go outside and go for a walk and do things like that. But I think that it'll be easy for me to go back, because I'm in the mindset of doing all that stuff anyways. So
right.
Hopefully, but it'll probably be a bit of a challenge, but I'll have to adapt to it.
Right.
Again.
And I'm kind of nervous to go back to work and get that routine, because I have a good solid morning routine set right now, but I'll just incorporate that into my work schedule, which will be hard for night shifts and stuff like that, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's awesome. I love hearing about where we started with our mindset, and now how we got to where we are now. And like I said, it's not finished. It's not like, oh yay, you reach the end of the mindset.
Oh no, level. I feel like the more I feel like the more I figure out about myself, and the more that I'm trying to work on, the more I realize that I'm not even close. Like the farther I become from it, because you realize the closer you get to something, you realize how much more ability there is to do even more. So honestly, the things I'm getting done in a day now, it's just increasing. Like I feel like I never actually have a day where everything's done, because there's always something new I could be trying out or doing, like you're this leveling now. Because you're always constantly leveling up and leveling up. That's why I always thought one day that my life would be a maid eventually, and I'd have something, and then it would just be done, and that'd be the thing I was aspiring to, that one thing, or that one whatever. And now I'm realizing that doesn't exist. You're never going to be happy because you reach something. There's always going to be more that you want to reach. That doesn't exist. In the movies, they show the ending of the movie, and it's this happy thing, and you're like, oh, it's over, they reached it, yay. But that
Yay.
doesn't actually exist in real life, I don't think. I think that every single time you hit even the biggest thing you could do, like let's say you love to play the guitar and you end up playing for a band, and then you end up playing for a huge band and you become kind of a little bit famous, let's say. You'd think now that you'd probably be the happiest person ever and you could never reach anything more than that. But when you're actually in those shoes, I feel like you would be like, hey, what's next? Like, is this it?
Right.
Because you end up constantly wanting to strive for more, even if it's subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never reached to my full goals yet. So we'll see once I actually get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find the same thing as you. Like, there's more that you can get done in a day, and your capacity for doing things is greater. And with Thrive, I really realized, because we talk about human design, which we're going to have a whole podcast about. I'm super excited about it. It's pretty much a zodiac for your body. But anyways, so
Okay.
you just need to know yourself to be able to use your abilities to the greatest of your abilities.